What the heck are 7 chords? Part 5. So my last few videos have been about 7 chords built off of major or minor triads, but now it's time to take a look at 7 chords built off of diminished triads. There are 2, and we're going to take a look at the first one today. So first, let's talk really quickly about what a diminished chord even is, because we've talked about major chords. A G major chord would be G, B, and D. And we've also talked about minor chords where we have a B flat instead of B if we're talking about G. So we have G, B flat, and D for a G minor chord. So to make a diminished chord, now we're going to change the 5th note, D. We're going to lower it to D flat and play G, B flat, and D flat. And that gives us a diminished triad. So you can hear it's got a pretty tense sound, not exactly prime meditation music, but there's our diminished chord. So the chord we're going to look at today is this chord, G, B flat, D flat, and F. Now there are 2 names for this chord. The first one is minor 7 flat 5, because it's like a minor 7 chord, which would be this, but the 5th note is flattened, so minor 7 flat 5. The other name for it is half diminished, G half diminished. Why half diminished? Well, because basically half of the chord is diminished. The 5th note is diminished, G to D flat is a diminished 5th, but the 7th note actually isn't diminished. G to F is a minor 7th, not a diminished 7th. And in my next video, we'll talk about what a diminished 7th actually is, but since half the notes in this chord are diminished, it is called half diminished as well. So how the heck do we use this chord? Well, there are a few different uses, but one of the most common ones is in a 2-5-1, not in major, but in minor. If you remember a few videos back, I talked about a 2-5-1 in major that had this really nice sound. Well, if we want to do the same thing in minor, we're going to start instead on a half diminished or minor 7 flat 5 chord. The dominant 7 chord next stays the same, and for the last chord we could end on just a minor triad, but instead let's end on the minor chord from the last video, the minor major 7. So if we do that, we have G half diminished, C7, F minor major 7. Really cool sound. So that's the half diminished chord, or the minor 7 flat 5. In the next video, I'll talk about the fully diminished 7 chord, so stay tuned for that.